A teenager in Somerset has been convicted for murder after his mum called the police to inform them about what he'd done. 19-year-old Joshua Delbono was yesterday given a life sentence at Bristol Crown Court. He will spend a minimum of 21 years behind bars after a jury found him unanimously guilty. He had killed 16-year-old Charley Bates in July last year. Now, the stabbing was over a £20 debt and happened in a public car park in Radstock in Somerset. Delbono fled the scene, disposed of the knife and burned his clothes. But around 6 hours after the murder, his own mother called the police to tell them about what her son had done and said she was keeping him at her address. I've got a recording for you now of that 999 call. Let's play it.
Police emergency, what's your location?
Hi, I'm in Froome.
Okay, what's happening?
My son's killed someone.
Okay, all right, okay. Can you tell me where?
It was at Radstock earlier. He's just come back. I've just found out he's in my house now, but I can't let him go anywhere.
Does he know you're on the phone?
Yeah, he's here. I've told him I've got to do it.
Wow. Could you do that? I'm already getting emails in about this saying it's morally the right thing to do. John's been honest, it's morally the right thing to do. Must have taken a lot of guts. If I'm being completely honest with you, and I think maybe this makes me a bad person, I don't think I could do that if it was my child. With me now is psychologist Emma Kenny. Emma, this is a really, really tough one. I mean, what do you make of it? What's your view? Do you think that, you know, psychologically, this woman must be absolutely devastated that she was put in a position where she's basically shopped her kid to the police?
Yeah, I mean, what you go through there is a whole raft of emotions because, first of all, he's going to get caught. The likelihood is he'll have described what happened and she'll understand that he's going to be essentially arrested. So, secondly, she doesn't want him to run off because that could put his life in danger. When people have done things like this and they know that their time is coming, their life can be at risk because of the way they feel about their own mortality. So it's a difficult dichotomy, but it's going to end up the same result, which is he's going to be arrested. And her acting this way is a direct message to him about accountability and responsibility. And I totally hear what you say when you say, at the end of the day, I don't know if I could do it. But that's because you've not been in that situation. Yeah. You're a loving parent. You'd want to bring the pigs in the lime and the shovel because in your head, that's what you imagine you'd do. But the consequences are you'd know that the kid was going to get caught and you can actually help them a great deal by helping them to take that accountability. And it's a shame, really, that he didn't follow through and take accountability. That's why he's got a minimum 21 years, because he didn't go guilty. And that would be a third of the sentence.
It's a really good point, that, Emma, because, look, his mum's shopped him. That must have been so difficult. You, I think, have hit the nail on the head there, saying she was probably trying to do him a favour in a roundabout way. He could have gone there, pled guilty and just gone, look at this. He's trying to get out of it. So clearly that lesson has not been learnt by him and he's going to have 21 years as a minimum to learn it. Just tell me, though, as a, you know, for this mother, if she'd have kept that to herself, I mean, her life arguably wouldn't have been worth living, really, just dealing with this constant daily thing of, I know what my son's done, even if he didn't get caught, you know?
We see some very heinous parents who don't actually make their children take responsibility. And that's the reason a lot of the time their children are the way they are. We've seen this in lots of areas, for example, of Liverpool and Manchester, where essentially crime parents really don't care about what their kids have done and actually defend them to the point where they essentially allow behaviour that is totally out of control. So I have a complete empathy with this mother who genuinely has probably done all she could, and her child has still made a horrible decision, and the consequences are that morally and ethically she couldn't have lived with that. At the same time, I think you've got to be very careful and clear when it comes down to a criminal situation. If she's aware that he has carried this crime out, and I imagine that he told her, then she becomes a person who is also criminally liable. So it's really essential that people realise that if you know about information and you don't then tell the police, you essentially are a co-conspirator to that particular crime on a lesser level. But she did the right thing on every level, both on a personal level for herself and certainly on an ethically and moralistic level. But at the same time, gosh, no parent who's shocker. Good and decent wants to be in that situation.
Yeah, absolute shocker. And Lynn's been on. Lynn says, look, Patrick, what if it was your son who'd been stabbed to death? you would want to know
Right.
who'd done it. You're absolutely right. And, you know, like you said there, Emma, the only reason I'm sitting here saying I just don't know if I could have done it, would I have helped, you know, burn the clothes, would I have helped do all of this, is because I haven't been put in that situation. And I think maybe the first thought is to try to protect your kid, and then you start thinking about all of the damage that their actions have done, don't you? And it builds from there. But you do get some heinous parents, you were saying, Emma, do you? You do get some people who will just protect their kids at all costs.
Oh, absolutely. You get horrific parents who often are crime-related themselves and seem to believe that there is a code where criminal behaviour is concerned. They really don't care about the collateral damage. We've seen that with the death of Olivia in Liverpool recently, where that little 9-year-old girl was shot and essentially the whole family were on the side of the killer. And actually a lot of the crime community were too. So to some degree, there are these individuals that create the typology of child that we're talking about. And then there are kids like this who made a horrible decision, and likely-wise, if they hadn't been in that sliding doors moment, there would be a very different outcome. But for that mother, she's also got a 21-year sentence now, and that's really challenging for her. For all that empathy. And you're right. Your feeling is, I'll do anything to protect my child. I'll kill to protect my child. But when they've killed another child, it changes.